Insane conspiracy theories that turned out true. Let's go.
A secret government experiment turned animals into spies. A lie about food created a global crisis. And powerful men were caught performing strange rituals in the
Bohemian Grove.
These stories
We are all going to Bohemian Grove.
nonsense. Many people didn't believe them. Then the truth came out. Today we're diving into insane conspiracy theories that were true all along. We'll begin with the strange cases and work our way to the most shocking. Our goal, guys, is 2.5 million subscribers by the end of 2026, and it is crazy. So it would mean the world if you subscribe. I will do my very best to put out the best videos I can for you. I'm Visual Venture and you are awesome. The animal spy conspiracy. During the Cold War, the US and Soviet Union spied on each other. That's no secret, but there's one bizarre conspiracy theory from that period. People claimed the CIA tried to turn animals
I thought this was proven, y'all. Like, y'all know how people talk about how pigeons aren't real? Think of it. Have you ever really looked in a pigeon's eyes? Because it could be a camera. Hold on. Let me search it up. That's the thing. Yeah, bro. Look at these things, bro. These shits is not real. Okay, this one is a spy terrorist pigeon. God damn. Is that a bomb strapped to him? I don't know what's going on with that one. They don't have it, bro. But, like, they found pigeons that have their eyes are cameras. This was proven. Just look up the CIA spy dragonfly. Yeah. I think we saw that before. Yeah, this was supposed to be like released by them. That actually would have been smart, bro. Because if you've seen this, you are not guessing this is a goddamn CIA thing. You know the worst part about it? If they scrap that, imagine what they have now. Because you know they have crazier shit. If they scrap that, they probably have like gnats. Like they have like some you think is like a gnat in your house that turns out is actually like a CIA spy.
Spies. It sounded crazy, but declassified documents proved it actually happened. In the early 1960s, being a CIA spy meant risking your life. Anyone caught spying in the Soviet Union could be executed. The CIA wanted to spy without putting agents in danger, so they came up with a strange idea. Stop relying on human agents. That was where cats came in. The CIA realized cats could go anywhere without drawing attention. That made them
You wouldn't suspect a cat of being a spy.
So the agency launched Project Acoustic Kitty. The goal was simple: turn a cat into a walking listening device. Surgeons would implant a microphone, a radio transmitter, and an antenna into the cat's body.
Oh, like surgically? That probably hurts the cat. Wait, that's kind of sad.
An antenna into the cat's body. The idea was that the cat would move near a target, the mic would capture the conversation, and the transmitter would send the audio to the CIA. On paper, it sounded smart. In real life, it was chaos. Implanting those devices into a living creature was tricky. It took months to figure out. One report said they made a monstrosity.
Yeah, they definitely went through a solid like 50 cats, bro. I can imagine them being on the surgery table and being like, all right, got it. All right, pull out the next one. There is no way they did this on like one cat and it worked at first and they didn't kill the cat.
And it was time to train the cat. But a new problem came up. The cat was hard to control. During training, it kept wandering off and chasing birds.
Oh my god, yeah, that too. You can't control cats like dogs, huh?
It also kept stopping to look for food. Even so, the agency decided the spy cat was ready. It was time for a real mission. In 1967, the CIA released the spy cat near the Soviet embassy in Washington, D.C. Two men were sitting on a nearby park bench. Agents wanted the cat to get close enough to record the conversation. They released the cat. It stepped into the street. Then a taxi hit it. The mission was
Yo, they didn't even get a chance to use it, bro. Damn. And then did they just give up after?
Over before it even began. By then, the agency already spent about $20 million on the project. That's roughly $170 million today. But they decided to quietly shut it down. One memo said the project...
Isn't it so insane, y'all, that like our government agencies can do shit like this, like burn through money? And then like the people are like, damn, bro, could we just get like some funding for like, I don't know, our roads or states? And they're like, the f did you ask for, you stupid bitch? Get back to your slave 9-to-5 job right now and pay your tax. Meanwhile, bro, the CIA can blow 170 million on a project that didn't even work. This all for national security. If you just see the amount of like bullshit the US government, like between all the organizations, they'll have like a failed project that'll end up being, it's worse now too. It'd be like $300 million. And that's our tax money. Like that's our fucking tax money, dog. And then just nothing happens. They're like, oh yeah, it was a mistake. Won't happen again. And then it happens again. Agree, but during the Cold War, they were doing anything to prevent World War III from happening. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I'm just talking about in general, bro. It doesn't even have to be just this incident. It's just so many different fucking incidents.
Was not practical. However, the agency didn't give up on the idea of animal spies. Instead, they tried something even stranger. By the early 1970s, CIA engineers came up with a new plan. If real animals were too hard to control, they would build a machine that looked like one.
That is dumb. That is dumb.
Dia became the Insectithopter. It was a
I
tiny
thought they
drone
meant the cat. I'm tripping.
built to look like a dragonfly. It had a tiny engine that powered the wings. A microphone was hidden in the head, and operators could control it remotely. By 1976, the CIA had a working prototype.
This is the first flight of the insect-sized unmanned aerial vehicle called Insectithopter. Flight tests were impressive.
The plan was for it to fly close
That
to
could
a
work
target
way better. But I feel like they'd notice eventually. I don't know.
and record conversations. Once again, it didn't work well in real life. The drone was extremely light. That meant even a small breeze could push it off course. Agents struggled to keep it steady long enough to record anything useful. Eventually, the project was abandoned. The Acoustic Kitty and Insectithopter projects remained classified for decades. People talked about them, but no one could confirm they were real. Then in the early 2000s, the CIA declassified some documents. That was when the truth finally became public. In 2003, the CIA put an Insectithopter prototype on display in its museum. The company in our next chapter secretly did something to millions of their own customers and didn't tell anyone. The Batterygate conspiracy. For years, iPhone users noticed a frustration.
I was literally just talking to my friend about this. This is when like people were noticing their phones were getting like slower and the battery was dying. I feel like we all remember this.
Pattern. Whenever Apple released a new iPhone, the older models seemed to get slower. Many users believed Apple was doing this on purpose to push them to buy the latest iPhone. People thought this theory was crazy, and if you believed it, you were just paranoid. Then in 2017,
Still happening
something
to this
happened,
day.
and suddenly you didn't seem so crazy after all. That year,
I was talking to my friend about it because I have a 15 Pro Max, which is 2 generations behind, right? The newest phone is a 17 Pro Max. So I noticed on my phone, I've had it for like however long, whenever that released. It might have been 2 years or 2.5 years, whatever. My phone's maximum battery capacity is at 87%. It came at 100%. So the shit is like slowly deteriorating, and I started noticing my phone started dying faster. I was like, what the fuck? It doesn't hit the same. And once it hits like 85%, that's when they say it becomes noticeable, and I'm already noticing it. And the crazy thing is you have to pay for a new battery, like you're forced to, which isn't the worst. It's probably like 100 something, but still it's like, I already paid a shit ton for this phone, and now I gotta pay this. I don't know, getting my 11 is good as new. I want you to check, if you have an iPhone, check your battery capacity, the maximum it could do. If it's below 80%, your phone, it's not lasting as long as it could, like not even close. It's dying 1/5 faster. Mine is 80%. If your thing is at 80%, it's literally dying 1/5 faster, like 20% faster than it should be. And you get used to it. A lot of people get used to it and they don't get it replaced. Mine is 69. Yo, your phone gotta be dying after like an hour. 69 maximum capacity? Get that battery replaced.
software update called iOS 10.2.1. After users installed it, complaints started pouring in. Users with older iPhones said their batteries were acting strangely. A phone might show a 30% battery, then suddenly drop to 1%. Seconds later, the phone would shut down. People complained all over social media. They were confused, frustrated, and demanded answers. But Apple didn't respond. So one man decided to look into it himself. John Poole was a software developer. He noticed that people were complaining about their iPhones. His wife was one of them.
My wife just offhand mentioned that her iPhone 6S felt slow, and the numbers that we got out of it were significantly lower than what I'd expect from a phone like that.
Poole knew enough about phones to analyze the situation.
It was sort of a eureka moment, and that's what prompted me to really take a deep dive into our database of performance data and see what was happening.
He ran performance tests on older iPhones and compared the results to newer ones. What he found was hard to ignore. Older iPhones running newer versions of iOS had lower performance scores, but it was only happening to phones with older batteries. After analyzing
It might be too much for them, but they should make like an iOS version. Like for every phone, it should have like a lesser version of that iOS, if you get what I mean. So let's say like the newest iOS or whatever, the biggest one they released, maybe it was like last year, I think. For like, let's say iPhone like 12s or something like that, which is like probably about to be aged the fuck out soon. That phone should get like a less powerful version compared to like the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So downgrade, yeah, it's better than your phone like dying faster because they force everybody to get the same update. Because y'all, the new iOS versions are built for the newest phones. The version right now, the big change that they did, it was built for everybody with the new phones to survive. And if you have anything below like a fucking 13, your ass is fried, nigga. Your shit gonna start lagging. They wouldn't do that. I know they wouldn't, because it would cost too much money for them. I mean, even though it's like $1 trillion company, you know, they're gonna focus on profits.
he reached one unsettling conclusion. Apple
would be
was
smart, though,
deliberately slowing
think.
down older iPhones. Poole published his findings on his blog on December 2017. Millions read it and they were furious. For the first time, the old joke about Apple slowing phones down didn't feel like a joke anymore. Now Apple had to answer for it. Just 2 days after Poole's blog went viral, Apple released a statement.
Apple Apple confirms it slows down the performance of older iPhones to reduce power demands.
The company admitted it was slowing down older phones, but it said there was a good reason for it. As iPhones get older, so do their batteries. Older batteries can't handle power the way they used to. If an older battery is pushed too hard, the phone might shut down or crash. To prevent that from happening, Apple added software that reduced the processor speed on older models. But that explanation didn't calm customers down. The problem wasn't just the slowdown. The problem was that Apple kept it hidden. Soon, lawsuits began piling up.
So far,
I guess that shit did nothing then, because people's phones still die faster with the new updates.
Lawsuits have been filed in Los Angeles and Illinois, claiming those suing never consented to allow Apple to slow their older iPhones.
Apple was sued in the US, Canada, Israel, and several European countries. Attorneys said Apple acted deceptively by hiding the shutdown and slowdown issues. In 2020, Apple agreed to settle the lawsuits. The company reportedly paid about $500 million. Every iPhone user included in the lawsuit received a little less than $100.
$100 for them bullshitting, bro. Can we just start putting people in prison, bro, for doing this? I don't want the money. I don't want $100. I could survive without fucking $100 from Apple. My God, man, I'm sick of this, bro. I need the system gone, deadass. Like, I need the system of, like, companies doing ass shit. They pay a big settlement, which is like nothing to them, and then people get $100. Nigga, it's not even enough to pay for a replacement battery. Bro, the replacement batteries are $100. $100 something. Only after Israel demanded Apple stop this, I see connections.
But as part of the deal, Apple did not admit to breaking any laws or any other wrongdoing. Today, Apple's more transparent about battery performance. The company also added
Apple make again. All I know is it's a multi-trillion dollar company.
A new feature that shows battery health. Up next is the story of a product that millions of people bought without knowing it was a death trap. The Big Sugar Conspiracy. For years, doctors said eating fatty foods caused heart disease, but some scientists believed the wrong food was getting blamed. To them, sugar was the real danger. As they dug deeper, they uncovered a dark conspiracy to bury the truth. It involved bribes, intimidation, and even fake research. In the late 1950s, thousands of Americans were passing away from heart attacks. Doctors and researchers were trying to figure out why. In 1965, a nutritionist suggested that too much sugar might be the reason.
We started to wonder late in the 1950s whether sugar might be a culprit in the increase in heart disease.
The sugar industry was alarmed by that theory. Americans were consuming more sugar than ever before. It was
I forgot about that, bruh. Nah, niggas used to be taking teaspoons full of sugar. That's why all the boomers got all types of diseases, bro. Holy shit. Loki, the only reason you should ever be taking sugar like this is for like very specific things, like coffee, obviously tea, baking products, like putting it in a product and mixing it with whatever to bake something. Other than that, you should not be putting sugar on top of a lot of shit.
Ever before. It was in soft drinks, candy, and desserts. If the public blamed sugar for heart disease, the industry could lose billions. To protect their business, they needed to shift the blame, and they knew exactly how to do it. There was a group called the Sugar Research Foundation. It was dedicated to the scientific study of sugar's role in food. On the surface, the group looked neutral and trustworthy, but behind the scenes, it was run by people who made money selling sugar. They wanted people to keep eating sugar even if it was harming their health. So in July 1965, the Sugar Research Foundation contacted a researcher at Harvard University. They asked him to write a study on the cause of heart disease, but there was a catch. The paper needed to downplay the dangers of sugar and shift the blame to fatty foods.
Like, this is just so illegal.
The foundation paid the researcher tens
because there was a certain point where everybody thought having fat in your food was like how you got fat, just because the name is fat. It's not even true.
Thousands of dollars. Back then, scientists didn't have to reveal who funded their work, so the public never knew about the deal. In 1967, the Harvard researcher published his paper. It said that cutting fat out of your diet was the best way to avoid.
And this is Harvard too. Like, especially back then, people probably took this so serious. Like, they're probably like, well, Harvard said it. Gotta believe it. Not eating fat, honey. No more fat, honey.
Heart disease. And because the study came from Harvard, people trusted it. Almost no one knew that the sugar industry paid for this study. Sugar executives were thrilled. One of them even wrote to the researcher, "Let me assure you, this is quite what we had in mind." Over time, the idea that fatty foods alone caused heart disease became widely accepted. A few years later, the US government released dietary guidelines. It told Americans to cut back on saturated fat, especially red meat. Many people followed that advice rice without cutting sugar. Many Americans switched to low-fat products. Food companies advertised low-fat yogurt, snacks, and dessert.
Would do it right.
And they still have reduced fat. Y'all, literally everything I get, bro, is all goddamn like no sugar shit. Y'all, like for example, I'm gonna show you something. Do y'all have like Baby Ray's barbecue sauce? So y'all, the Baby Ray's, the normal one, right? 2 tablespoons, 70 calories. But if you get the no sugar one, this is the one I always buy. I never buy the normal one. Look, y'all, if you get the no sugar one, 15 calories. For the same shit. And by the way, this just has a lot more sugar. Look at this, 17 grams versus 1 gram. And people don't know this. I was even telling my mom about this. I was telling her, like, same thing with ketchup. All condiments y'all get, I'm gonna let you know right now, especially if you're bigger and you're trying to, like, lose weight. Bro, just get no sugar shit. But then they always have to substitute sugar with some cancerous shit. I mean, the thing is, people always say that, but, like people say that same thing about, like, diet soda. I was talking about it, like, last stream. But, bro, that shit is, like, studied. Like, you'd have to literally drink, like, fucking gallons full or whatever every day for, like, 20 years to even get, like, a chance of it. So, like, it's way safer, bro, than people think. It's not like you're gonna have it and then you're gonna get cancer, bro. Like, immediately after, you know. Bottled water's cancerous, so what can you do? That's what I'm saying. Like, they say that about a lot of, like, alternative shit. It's fine, bro. I feel like you'll be fine. People have been having it for years and nothing has happened to them.
I believe it's got less fat.
But many of these low-fat foods had extra sugar for flavor, so people ended up consuming even more sugar than before. Over time, the health problems worsened. That confused a lot of doctors. Some scientists questioned the old research on fat and sugar, but there was still no proof that the study was manipulated. It took nearly 50 years for the truth to come out. In 2009, a researcher was studying the history of nutrition science. Her name was Kristen Kearns. While going through Harvard records, she found letters between Harvard researchers and the Sugar Research Foundation.
The first folder that I pulled out opened up to a memo.
It's also the fact that nobody for 50 years decided to, like, recheck it. They saw, like, people here getting a lot more diabetes, heart diseases and whatnot, and nobody went like, why is that? They just go, oh, no, we can't check the Harvard study. We gotta trust Harvard. Come on, bro.
Blue letterhead of the Sugar Association, and it had the word confidential.
Those letters proved that the sugar industry funded the research and probably influenced the results. In September,
now we're finally seeing, like, things getting a little bit better, because I think people are slowly starting to learn, like, yeah, you shouldn't have, like, sugar and everything. A lot of shit you should be getting should be, like, no sugar products. Don't get me wrong, it's not gonna taste the same as, like, the one sugar, but, like, you also get used to it too. And also, it's just because your taste buds are so palated towards those fucking sugars, bro. We weren't built to have that much sugar.
16, Kearns published what she found. It
Yeah,
shocked
just
the
think 'cause
world.
Harvard
This
said it's,
morning, Bay Area
means
researchers
it
are
has to be
accusing
true.
the sugar industry of some unsavory behavior.
Believe me, I've been reading this for the past couple of days. Like, oh my God.
What did you think? We shaped our notion of healthy diets for decades on this. Don't ever eat fat, sugar, no problem.
By then, the researchers who wrote the paper were no longer alive, but the Sugar Research Foundation still existed. It now went by a new name, the Sugar Association. When people confronted the group, it denied doing anything wrong. It admitted it funded the research, but insisted it didn't influence the results. Even so,
shut up, bro. Nah, sue these niggas and put them in prison. I don't give a fuck if all the dudes that did it are dead. Put the people that worked there are in prison.
it was too late to undo the damage. For decades, people ate foods packed with sugar, and many paid the price with their health. That was a lie that lasted 50 years, all because the sugar industry wanted to protect their profits. This next chapter is about a secret military operation so unbelievable, the government denied it ever happened. The weather control conspiracy. Have you ever heard anyone say that the government can control the weather? It sounds like the kind of thing only paranoid people would believe, but that idea didn't come from nowhere. In the 1960s, the United States...
Isn't it proven though, like, I forgot what, but there's ways to make, like, man-made rain. Like, you can kind of, like, you can wish up the atmosphere. It's in certain places they do it to, like, help with growth. It's not like the way people think where, like, yeah, the government's, like, fucking influencing the weather, so, like, for global warming, this and that. No, that's dumb. But there is ways you can do it, and they use it in, like, certain aspects in certain situations.
Was
it's possible, but it's not
Vietnam,
often effective.
But the war wasn't going well. One major problem was the Vietnamese army's supply network. Their soldiers had secret roads running through the jungle. They used these routes to move food, weapons, and troops. As long as supply routes stayed open, it was much harder for the US to win. The US wanted to shut them down, but there were too many hidden roads to find and block. Then the military noticed something. Whenever heavy rain fell, the roads turned into mud. Trucks got stuck and people struggled to move through it. That made moving supplies much much harder for Vietnamese forces. That gave the US an idea. If they could make it rain all the time, the enemy would have a much harder time moving supplies through the jungle. Controlling the weather sounded like science fiction, but the government had a reason to believe it was possible. Years earlier, a chemist named Vincent Schaefer ran some weather experiments. Schaefer flew over New York and dropped 3 pounds of dry ice into a cloud. Within minutes, the cloud began producing snow. He called it cloud seeding, and it proved that humans might be able to influence the weather. During the Vietnam War, the military decided to try it. It was called Operation Popeye.
The goal of Operation Popeye was to extend the monsoon season and create an inordinate amount of rainfall by seeding clouds.
Air Force planes were loaded with canisters of silver iodide. The planes flew into storm clouds and released them. The silver iodide triggered more rainfall. The extra rain turned roads into mud. Some paths even flooded. Moving supplies became much harder for Vietnamese forces. The mission was a success. For 5 years, the US military kept doing it.
They flew over 2,600 missions from a period of 9.
This is what I meant. You can do it in like situations like this.
To 1972.
And they kept the operation top secret. But secrets like that don't stay hidden forever. In March 1971, a reporter of the Washington Post exposed the operation. He revealed how the military was using the weather as a weapon of war. The public was shocked. Lawmakers were angry that they were never informed. The defense secretary was called before Congress to explain himself, but he denied everything. He called the claims wild tales. That denial
not much has changed, bro.
Only made things worse because reporters kept digging. In July 1972, another reporter published a story in the New York Times. It was titled, "Rainmaking is Used as Weapon by US." This time, the evidence was much stronger. The reporter had spoken with people involved in the operation. Now the story was no longer just a rumor. The defense secretary and military officials were summoned to a secret Senate hearing. They were asked about the project again, and they finally admitted the truth. That raised a disturbing question. If one country could use weather as a weapon, what would happen if other countries did the same? It could destabilize the climate, disrupt food supply.
Rain can mess up places, but I feel like if there's like thunderstorms or fucking snow or anything, yeah, you really cook a place.
Create other serious problems. World leaders didn't want that to happen. So by 1977, world leaders signed an agreement banning the use of weather as a weapon. Today, over 70 countries have signed that treaty. As far as we know, no country has weaponized the weather since. However, there's
definitely countries that have done it. We just don't know.
Seeding it never stopped. It's still used for farming and weather-related needs. So the weather control conspiracy theory turned out to be true. The leader in our next chapter believed the government was his enemy, so he decided to destroy it from the inside. The Scientology conspiracy. The Church of Scientology has been accused of many things, including being a cult, but one claim stood out from the rest. People said the church was doing illegal things to silence its enemies and manipulate the government. So were these conspiracy?
They might as well be a whole CIA sect themselves.
But to understand why millions of people believe this church is dangerous, we have to go back to where it all started. The Church of Scientology began in 1953. It was founded by a science fiction writer named L.
It's just so hilarious hearing that. A science fiction writer made a religion.
It said Scientology was a religion that could help people unlock their full potential.
Official religion classified by the US, by the way, bro. The US accepts like a bunch of religions. I could probably make a religion and then they just accept it. I think you just have to have certain guidelines done for it.
The Fundamentals of Thought by L. Ron Hubbard. Your search is over, but the adventure's just begun.
That message attracted thousands of followers, but as Scientology grew, so did the controversy.
Also, it's the fact they use the cross. Why does Scientology use a cross? Because we know, like, for Christians, like, a cross signifies, like, Jesus being crucified. Why do they have one? Representing the 8 dynamics urges towards survival in Scientology: sex, sex/family groups, humankind life forms, physical universe spirits, infinity. While resembling a Christian cross, the 4 additional diagonal rays distinguish it and represent a sunburst, or according to critics, symbolize the 8 parts of life. Just talking about bullshit, bro. I genuinely don't know what that means. Initially, I thought it was a denomination of Christianity, so I saw it. Yeah, I think people just seeing it, they probably would think that, oh, it's like a whatever type of denomination of Christianity, but it's not. So they literally just added those little shines to it. This was definitely made to like kind of like trick some people that are Christian and whatnot, probably back then too, especially to like think this was a normal church.
Former members accused the church of extortion and harassment. By the mid-1960s, the complaints were too many to ignore. The US government started investigating Scientology's internal practices, and what they found was troubling. Large amounts of church money money were going straight to the founder, Hubbard. He was running it less like a religion and more like a business. So the government revoked Scientology's tax-exempt status. Other countries went even further.
The state of Victoria in Australia has passed a law making it a criminal offense for anyone to demand or receive payment for the pseudo-medical practice of Scientology.
Hubbard was furious. He believed the government was targeting him unfairly. He gave interviews defending Scientology.
Why do they just fight it and say there's something bad, but they never specify what's bad? They haven't specified. For instance, right now they say
they definitely specified. They said, bro, you're running your religion like a business. This is not how it works. All churches, mosques, synagogues, whatever religious buildings, they're not supposed to run like businesses. Even though, yeah, we know like the mega church and the loopholes and this and that or whatever, they're not supposed to run like that. So if they find out you do that, they can revoke your status. Honestly, that it rarely happens, but Scientology was kind of obvious, bro. Like, the dude is a fucking fiction writer, bro. Nobody took this shit serious. Did he ever brush his teeth? I don't know, bro. He's got to tell whatever Scientology god he believes in to like bless him with some new teeth.
Breaking up marriages. What? That's a lie.
But instead of fighting back in court, Hubbard came up with a much darker plan. He would attack the government from within. In 1973, Hubbard launched Operation Snow White. The mission was simple. Scientology wanted to infiltrate government offices and erase
even having this ego was insane, bro.
Every damaging file about the church. To do that, Hubbard created a network of spies. They made Scientology members apply for jobs in government agencies. They targeted places like the IRS and the Department of Justice. Once they got hired, the spies searched for files on Scientology. Then they stole those files or destroyed them. Sometimes they swapped real records with fake ones that made the church look harmless. The operation was led by Hubbard's wife, Mary Sue. She trained Scientologists to become spies. They learned how to forge IDs and manipulate people. For 5 years, the plan worked. Scientology infiltrated 136 government agencies.
That is fucking insane.
In 30 countries. But the church was not just stealing files. They were also going after anyone who criticized them. Hubbard kept a list of the church's enemies. Paulette Cooper was at the top of that list. In 1972, she published a book titled The Scandal of Scientology. It was one of the first books to openly criticize the church. Scientology church leaders hated her for it, so they decided to ruin her life.
They sued me 19 times all over the world. Put me through 50 days of depositions. They sent a lot of horrible anonymous smear letters about me.
Then they decided to frame her for a crime.
They stole my stationery. They got my fingerprint on a piece of paper. And then they sent bomb threats to themselves.
Scientologists got a paper with Paulette's fingerprints. Then they used that paper to send devices.
They really moving like the CIA. Bro, this is crazy. How did they learn these tactics? Who gave them these?
Threats to their own church. After that, they reported the threats to the FBI themselves. To investigators, it looked like she was guilty. Paulette was arrested and charged. If convicted, she could spend years behind bars. The Scientologists were celebrating. However, their entire operation was about to fall apart. In May 1976, 2 Scientology spies broke into a courthouse in Washington, D.C. They were trying to steal more documents, but the plan failed. A security guard caught them using forged IDs. Federal agents traced those fake IDs back to Scientology. So in July 1977, FBI agents raided Scientology offices. They seized about 100,000 stolen government documents. They also uncovered files that exposed Operation Snow White. Those files showed that Scientology framed Paulette Cooper too.
They found something that said along the line of conspired to frame Miss Lovely, which was the code name that Hubbard gave to me.
11 high-ranking Scientology officials were convicted. Among them was Mary Sue, the wife of L. Ron Hubbard. She was sentenced to 5 years behind.
That's it? So they could break into like whatever, how many countries, like 30 countries, steal from the government, and they get 5 years, bro. Bro, there's people that had a smidgen on weed of them, y'all, that got like 20 years. Probably still serving fucking sentences. Pack this shit up.
Bars. But one key figure avoided charges. L. Ron Hubbard himself. Investigators believed he directed the operation, but they could never prove it in court. After the convictions, Hubbard disappeared from public life. He spent the rest of his life paranoid and in hiding. Scientology still exists today, and it is still powerful. Its members include celebrities, lawmakers, and wealthy CEOs. Who knows how much more powerful it could have become if its spies stayed inside the government. This next chapter is
I wonder
about
what Tom Cruise believes in Scientology.
A secret club that most powerful people in the world don't want you to know about. The Secret Society Conspiracy. You've probably heard the theory that a secret group of rich and powerful men control the world, that they meet in private to decide wars, pick presidents, and major events. Most people brushed off this conspiracy theory as nonsense, but it turns out there's some truth to it. There's a forest in Northern California where powerful men really do meet in secret.
Who's at that bill? Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon. I don't know the rest of these people.
Meet in secret. Those men are members of the Bohemian Club. The club was formed in 1872 in San Francisco. At first, it was just a few dozen men talking about art, but over time the club began to change. Businessmen, lawyers, and politicians joined. Within a few decades, the Bohemian...
I wonder how many politicians now are like in Bohemian Grove. I feel like it was like an older thing. Nowadays it got exposed so much. It's like, I feel like you just get exposed, bro, if you went. All of them.
The club was no longer mainly about creativity. It was about power. In the 1890s, the club built a private camp deep in the California redwoods. They called it Bohemian Grove. Every summer, members traveled there for a 2-week retreat. As the years passed, the guest list became more impressive. Multiple U.S.
burning owls.
Presidents attended, but as the Grove got more powerful, it also became more exclusive and secretive.
You don't ask to join, they ask you. The whole thing is about excluding certain people, and other people get to go to this fancy retreat.
No one was allowed to take photographs. Journalists were banned from entering. Members followed one strict rule. What happened at Bohemian Grove stayed at Bohemian Grove.
Bro, this is spin on what happens at Vegas stays in Vegas.
Naturally, this made people suspicious. What were these powerful men doing in secret? For decades, no one on the outside really knew. Then one journalist managed to get in. In July 1989...
Nowadays, there's so many YouTubers that have went and like just walk around or sneak in. I watched one like a while ago.
A journalist named Philip Weiss got inside Bohemian Grove. He planned to sneak in, but when he got there, security was much lighter than he expected, so he pretended to be a guest and stayed for 7 days. Weiss saw celebrities, politicians, and business executives.
Wait, so they just let him in without like having a list or anything? That's fucking insane. Yeah, duh, they eating babies, bro. You think they eating babies? Now, I feel like, okay, doing it there would just be too obvious because this is like way too public. Any place they would do it, like, it can't be this public unless they have some underground hidden layer here.
Discussions about major issues. It all seemed impressive, but on the first night things went from impressive to bizarre. After dark, men in dark robes walked in a slow procession. They carried a coffin, then they placed it in front of the statue of an owl. The statue was 40 feet tall.
So
then
creepy.
They set the coffin on fire. The ceremony was called the cremation of care. Inside the coffin was a figure meant to represent the worries of everyday life. Burning it symbolized letting those worries go. When he got back
that is
to New
not
York,
what that means. So you created a giant owl statue, bring a coffin to burn it. What even is that?
Weiss wrote about what he saw. His article was published in Spy magazine and it caused a sensation. For the first time, the public got a glimpse inside Bohemian Grove. The idea that world leaders were performing rituals in the woods sounded unbelievable, but it was happening. Bohemian Grove still operates today. Every summer, members gather in the forest. Cameras are still banned. Journalists aren't allowed to enter. And the same rule still applies. What happens at Bohemian Grove stays at Bohemian Grove. So was the conspiracy theory true? What we know for sure is that they really do meet at Bohemian Grove. What they discussed...
Let me search up how many presidents have gone there. Oh, wow. Ronald Reagan was a member. Nixon, Hoover, and Eisenhower. So nobody, I guess nobody knew. Oh, other attendees, while some, such as Theodore Roosevelt, were offered honorary membership but did not attend. He denied it. That's a W.
However, remains a mystery. Are they deciding the fate of the world or just spending time with friends? Governments, corporations, powerful organizations, they all made the same bet that the story reaching you would be the one they wanted you to hear. My friends, the most dangerous thing you can do is trust without question. Visual Venture.
That'll be a Visual Venture video. Yeah, if you're watching on the 2, make sure you're on the Discord and watch the streams.
Subscribe to Tommy and FG.